What's up, guys? It's Nick Benson back with another episode of the Pack Nation podcast. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I know I did, obviously, because of that game that we just witnessed yesterday. The Packers just taking the Cowboys behind the woodshed, if you will, beating them 48-32 in a game that really was not that close. And I'll admit myself, I did not expect to see that. Now, I did think the Packers had a chance to do that. I did think that, there was a chance that they could pull the upset against Dallas, given the history of the rivalry, the way the Aaron Rodgers teams had owned Dallas and the way the Packers were the hot team going into the playoffs and the Cowboys had struggled with teams with a winning record this past year. And, Dak Prescott hadn't had a lot of success in the playoffs. Mike McCarthy hadn't had a lot of recent success. So knew that it was a possibility, but did not see them in any way, shape, or form blowing them out like they did. It was something that almost seemed like it was out of a dream. It was something that, if you would have told me going back to before the season or even going back to October when the Packers were struggling, at that, sitting at 2-5 and then at 3-6, I never would have thought that this outcome was possible, but they did it. And honestly, the Packers are playing right now with house money, as I've said in prior episodes, but more importantly, with the why not us mentality. And it's pretty awesome to see in comparison to Packers teams of years past, with Aaron Rodgers. It always seemed like they were the team that had the most pressure on their backs. Every year, not every year, but a lot of years under Aaron Rodgers, they were going in with a high seed and high expectations, having the future Hall of Fame quarterback. And then later in his career, they had some veteran-laden teams that, just needed to go out and prove it and win the Super Bowl. Otherwise, the season would be looked at as a failure. And we just saw so many years, year after year, that they fell short of that goal. And, going back to 2010, that was what we had seen almost every year. And now it was just been so refreshing this year to come in with a team that no one expected to even be in the playoffs in the first place, that had to win their last 3 games to get into the playoffs. And then to now go into Dallas in the wild card round and just blow the doors off of them. The youngest team in football, the youngest team to ever make the playoffs in NFL history. It's just crazy what they're doing right now. And you got to give credit to the guys up top, once again, for assembling this roster. Give credit to Brian Gutekunst, a guy who, has taken a lot of hate over his tenure as GM of the Packers. A lot of people did not like when he traded up for Jordan Love in 2020, and we all know why. And, a lot of people thought, oh, he's not aggressive enough of a GM, yada, yada. But this team he has assembled is young, it's hungry, it's talented, and the future is so bright with this young team. And it just makes being a Packers fan just great. And I feel so blessed to be a fan of this team, a team that, there's been a lot of heartbreak in the playoffs, but in almost every year of my fandom, over the last 20 plus years now that I've followed this team, they just seem to always be, in contention. And now, we had the first uncertainty, going into this year for a long time with Jordan Love coming in at quarterback. And then, with the way the season started, we're like, uh-oh, are we going to enter in some bad times, with this team? And they've proven us that we're not going to enter bad times. And the future is going to be here way before we thought it would be. A lot of people thought that this team would take until, 2025 to actually break through and, have success like this in the playoffs or make a deep playoff run. But ultimately, they've shown that they're ready now. And a lot of that has to do with Jordan Love, clearly. The guy has been on an absolute tear lately. 20 touchdowns to 1 interception in his last, 8 games, something like that. Just mind-blowing numbers. He is going scorched earth right now on the league. He is just, you can just see the command that this guy has over the offense that he didn't have earlier in the season. And now, he's getting his weapons back. He's got a line that's protecting him. Aaron Jones is running the ball great right now. And, the fact that Aaron Jones was injured for so long during the season has almost been a blessing in disguise for the Packers because he comes into the playoffs with fresh legs. And, he's going into each game and the playoffs now with that, you know, badass mentality of like, hey, I'm it. Like, I, am the X factor on this team. I'm the veteran, and good luck stopping me. And it's just been great. This offense looks as good and as balanced as any offense in the league right now. And, they're going into a tough test this next weekend against San Francisco. And we know, of the demons of the past of the Packers 49ers rivalry. We know that once the Packers have had to play them in the playoffs, I mean, in my lifetime, I've never witnessed them beating the Niners in the playoffs. Just year after year, you think back to, it goes all the way back to the 2012 season, losing to them in the divisional round when Colin Kaepernick, went crazy on them and broke records for rushing yards by quarterback. 2013, the wild card round, they nearly beat them, but Micah Hyde has a dropped interception late in the game. You go back to fast forward a few years, you go to 2019, and they get stomped by them in the NFC Championship game. Raheem Mostert over 200 yards rushing. And 2021 divisional round, to me, maybe the most heartbreaking one. They have a game where they come in as the number one seed, and we know that there weren't many years left of Rodgers, and then they go and lose a close game 13-10. Special teams just has some awful mistakes in the game. The offense just couldn't seem to get it going all game, and they had another early playoff exit that year. And that's what I'm sure a lot of Packers fans are thinking about going into this next weekend, and rightfully so. And this 49ers team is a juggernaut. I mean, playmakers everywhere. You look at from Brock Purdy to Christian McCaffrey to Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle on offense, and then playmakers everywhere on defense like Nick Bosa and Chase Young and Fred Warner, etc. They're loaded. They're an all-star team, and they are well rested, having sat starters in their Week 18 win over the Rams and then having the first round bye. So they haven't really played a game with their starters in 3 weeks. It will have been 3 weeks this coming weekend. And, Green Bay has been in playoff mode. This will be the 5th straight game now that they've basically been in win-or-go-home mode. And, they've been sustaining more injuries along the way. Had some injuries on defense yesterday. Guys like Jair Alexander and Devondre Campbell, Isaiah McDuffie, Kingsley Anibare. Some big, losses if some of those guys can't play. But, like I said, they're playing with the why not us mentality. And it's just impressive to see what they're doing right now with this young team, younger than any other team in the league, and these weapons that just seem to be everywhere. Guys are getting open all over the place. And, one thing from this game that I took and I thought was amazing was the fact that, to me, Jayden Reed, who you can argue who their best playmaker on offense is, but in my opinion, it is Jayden Reed, at least pass catcher. I would say Aaron Jones is the best overall playmaker, but I digress. So Jayden Reed is held without a catch in this game. Yet the Packers still dropped 48 on Dallas. 41 of those points scored by their offense. They had the pick six by Savage, of course. But that is wild to me. You have so many guys that can come up and step up big on this team. Romeo Doubs goes off in this game. Dontavian Wicks just keeps making plays. Luke Musgrave, back in his second game back from injury, scores a touchdown. So many guys that can just make plays. So many young, talented guys that are just getting open. And it's just a credit to Matt LaFleur. I think that a lot of people aren't giving him enough credit for the job he's done. And I do think over the course of his coaching career in Green Bay, he has been underrated. First for having Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. And now this year, for the way they started, a lot of people were like, oh, he's on the hot seat, should get fired. But now you see just some of these plays he's drawing up, the motion that's just confusing the defense, the guys that are just running those route concepts that get open, mixing in the run and the pass well, and then on the offensive line, they're rotating some guys in, especially at like right guard with John Runyon Jr. and Sean Ryan. They just have the right formula that's just working for them. And can't say enough about Matt LaFleur and the job he's done. It's just great. So, they will be going in as big underdogs this next weekend, and their magic might run out, and I am bracing for the fact that that is possible. But that being said, I'm also hopeful that this team can pull an upset. They've proven me wrong, and if you know me, I'm a very optimistic Packers fan, glass half full. If I see something in the positive, I'm going to talk about it and talk glowingly about it. It's just the way I am as a fan. But, even me had a hard time believing it sometimes this year, and they're proving me wrong. And, who are we to say that they can't go into San Francisco and win this game? It's going to be hard. They're going to give their best shot, and ultimately on paper they're more talented than Green Bay and more veteran than Green Bay. But Green Bay, they don't know any better right now. I think of those Aaron Rodgers teams that had all those pressure on their shoulders, like I said, but this team doesn't have the pressure. And I think that this team has rallied around Jordan Love. They love playing, for Jordan Love, and they know that they have the talent on this team. Despite it being young, they have talent that can compete with anyone right now, and they're going to go in confident. I can guarantee you this weekend they're going to go in. They're not going to think that this is too big of a stage for them, and they're going to give it their best shot. And whether they win or lose, it's still going to end up being a successful season. I said that before the Dallas game. I even said that before the Chicago game, that this season at that point in time would still be a successful season if it ended 2 weeks ago. But here we are. They're going to be in the quarterfinals of the NFL playoffs. They're going to be one of the final 8 teams remaining in year 1 of Jordan Love. The youngest team in the NFL, young weapons everywhere. Rookies are second-year guys at wide receiver and tight end. That's it. Young offensive line. Veteran defense, but still a lot of young guys, especially at cornerback with guys like, Carrington Valentine, Corey Ballantyne, Keyshawn Nixon trotting out there a lot. It's just a mentality this team has right now that they can go in and compete with anyone. And there will be some key matchups this weekend to monitor. Can this Packers defense hold down the 49ers offense? Can their linebackers, keep up with Christian McCaffrey? Can those pass rushers get home and pressure Brock Purdy? Because we know that he is a quick decision maker. He's, a fearless leader out there. If he finds guys open, he'll pick you apart. To me, those are the biggest matchups, and those young corners, going up against Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, even a guy like Juwan Jennings, can they contain them? And, the Packers making their statement early will be big, just like it was against Dallas. They need to show that they can go and just make a statement early and not get away from the run game, because we know how important that's been, especially since Matt LaFleur's been head coach for the Packers, of getting Aaron Jones involved and, not getting away from the run game. And it'll help out Jordan Love. Yeah, he's playing scorched earth right now, but once again, he's still young. And if he doesn't have a run game against this defense, he may make a mistake or two. So, a lot of key matchups there, and hopefully this team can pull through, but we shall see. And it's just, as a Packers fan right now, I'm giddy. I'm just, on cloud 9. It's been a great turnaround this year. It's been a great, look and see what the future might hold after this year. You just have to be excited that as a fan, you've been spoiled. If you're in your 20s or even younger than that, you've been spoiled your whole life, having, gotten to watch Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and now you get to watch Jordan Love. It's exciting. And, we should be excited for this weekend no matter what happens. And, hopefully they can go in and have that mentality that we're going to win this game. It's going to be us against the world. And, I know that all the talk shows are going to pick the 49ers. There are not going to be many people believing in Green Bay, but, maybe you should pick Green Bay. Maybe you should pick the team with the hot quarterback, and the hot offense, and the team that just looks unstoppable right now and knows no better, because that's a team that you do not want to face. And I can guarantee you that San Francisco is not looking forward to having to face a team like Green Bay. they would have rather faced a few other teams. They may have even rather played Dallas, at some point. So, thanks again for watching this episode. Hope Packers come out with a win this weekend, and go Pack go. See you guys.